So this is my next project for now. It's a 1993 Bobcat 753. This is my dad's Bobcat. He's had this thing for as long as I can even remember. And it's sat for probably the last 5 or 6 years. It still runs. It actually runs pretty good. But it caught on fire, I think around that time that he stopped using it. And it sat for a while until it got rewired. Now, the guy that can do it for cheaper rewired it, so it's just a rat's nest back here. You can see a lot of the copper actually showing on the outside of these crimp connectors here, so that all needs redone. There's some wires, you know, that aren't even hooked up, and it won't start right now just by the key. You actually have to get this wire to make contact, then you can start it. So you got to come back around to this door every time, open the door, wrap that wire around there, then start it. It'll shut off from the key, but that just needs to find its home, and then it should be good. This solenoid timer right here for the fuel shut off, I think that was replaced by these here. Because if you look up that part number on Bobcat's website, it just brings you to this, and it said that that one was discontinued. So I'm pretty confident that that actually just isn't needed anymore. I'll have to do some more research, but I think we're good on that. These battery terminals need redone too. Just needs a lot of love back here. It's a fairly low hour unit. I think it's got around 3,500 hours on it or something like that. For being a 93, I think that's pretty good. The cab in here needs a lot of love too. Most of the stuff is just pretty small stuff that needs done. Again, it runs good. We need new levers for the Bob-tach. I mean, these are long gone. This one's not too bad. I think the only thing actually needed over here is probably the lever itself. That front cylinder needs repacked. This foot pedal over here sticks, so if you tilt the bucket back, it'll just stick, and then you have to slam your foot down forward to get it to stop tilting. This seat, my tire and horse blanket on here, this needs a new reinforcement or something like that. It's mostly rotted out in the middle, but that needs addressed before I can put a seat in here. Need a new friction plate on here, or a friction pad, to get that throttle to stay. The steering's really loose, so again, it's just small stuff. It runs pretty good. It's just rough around the edges, really. And the main thing I'm concerned about right now is this wiring. So I'm gonna jump into trying to figure out where this one goes. I would think it wouldn't be too hard, but then again, I've spent many hours trying to figure out where it does go, and I can't. The only wiring diagram I can find for this model is for just past the serial number. This is a really early serial break. I called Bobcat, and the guy at the service center that I spoke to, he wasn't a ton of help. I still have no idea what this wire goes to, but I pulled this fuse here, and I looked at it, and it was a blown fuse, and that's surprised me. So there's another fuse behind it. It's in a 25 amp too. I pulled that one out. I put the new fuse in there, and that's all it was. That's literally all it was. Just a blown fuse, and I don't know if that guy didn't check. It's pretty wild though. I don't know what that one goes to, but that still leaves a big question mark as to what that goes to. I really don't know, cause like there's no end to a wire over here, and in the wiring diagram, all right, 2 fuses I'm pretty sure that are up there are right here. Now I've got 23F, which is that white wire, and that goes down here to a fuel pump connector, I guess, but my fuse is right there. So I think now we're gonna start the rewire process. I think this harness went kind of back behind here and then wrapped up like that. I think that's kind of what I'm gonna try to follow. Just whatever the one that I find online, I think I'm gonna follow that. These are what I'm using. It's not the most expensive stuff. These had pretty good reviews. I've seen some people say that they pull out though. I guess we'll have to see. And then these are like $25 crimpers. I know you probably want to spend more than that, but we're gonna see how these actually do. They can't be terrible, right? And we're gonna have a heat shrink on there as well with the adhesive lining in there. These two are Wi-Fi, and this is I can't really pronounce that. But we're gonna get started on this. Got some new cable here. I think this cable is about, or this wire is about 50 bucks from Wire Barn. Pretty decent price.
So I got the connectors I needed. I just went ahead and sent a picture of the connector I had and this metal piece here to them, and they were able to link me to what they had on their website. All of it was relatively cheap, and you could actually, there was no minimum order quantity, so custom connectors was the website. I think my total was like $16, which is, yeah, it's a lot for the small stuff, but actually being able to order this stuff without hitting a minimum order quantity of something absurd is great.
Yeah, so I tried tugging on this connector here with some pliers on the connector and then just pulling on the wire itself. And this thing is on there very, very tight. The comments saying that it pulls off easily and just falls off, they must have been using the wrong crimp or the wrong size or something like that, because that is on there very, very well. I'm pretty happy with that. So it's fully wired up now. Here's the new connector that I repinned. I got a piece of wire loom on it. It's just for now testing out the looks. I don't love it. It is just Tessa taped under that. Same here. I think I like these a little better, but I might end up taking them off. Again, it's just Tessa tape behind these, but it kind of looks like a jumbled mess. As for being able to work on it, you'd have to take a lot of stuff apart, but that's okay because I'm probably not going to have to do that for a while is the hope. I did leave that white wire out. I just can't figure it out. If anybody has any ideas, maybe I'll jump back in here and actually hook it back up if it is important, but as far as I know now, it's not. The Bobcat runs fine without it. I redid these eyelets down here on the grounds, same over here on the starter. Repinned that connector, heat shrinked everything back together. It all looks great. It looks way better than it did, so that's what matters. Cleaning this up was my goal. I reattached the relay down here, got rid of the old one. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on trying to get this Bob-tach lever off here. I'm gonna drop this down. This is literally how we got them off for years, which, I mean, that can't be good. It just seems like maybe it needs some grease down in there. It does look really dry. I mean, you can just see all that rust on there. We get that out of here, grease it up a bunch, and then maybe sand it smooth. Honing out that actual hole would be good too, but I don't have anything to do that. So I think maybe we can just get all that off and pull it out of there somehow. New bolts would be good too. That spring's probably good. Some new hardware. I mean, yeah, this stuff's not great, but this side should be okay. There's aftermarket like levers for these and kits, like $100, but I read, you know, some bad reviews on those, and I mean, a bucket falling off, and this is an important, you know, this is like safety, a big safety thing if you're gonna cheap out on it. It's better to spend the $220 on one side, just deal with that one being bad, and spend $50 each side, and then have a potential, you know, risk there. But I think that grease zip down there is actually froze up. So we'll probably take that out too. I don't really use SAU much. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this thing is bent so good. You can probably tell better from this side. Yeah, look at that. Look how bent that is. It's probably from using that breaker bar on there like that for so many years. There we go. I mean, there's a lot of buildup down there. There's no grease in there at all. So we definitely need that new Zerk in there. I don't know if the hole actually goes through to there though. Yeah, there's an enormous amount of pitting in here. Probably cannot tell on camera, but it's really bad. So we'll give it a sand down, but I mean, I doubt that's gonna really do much. But what I think is the main concern here is that I actually get some grease back in there and get that Zerk freed up. And I think it'll just clean this up, make it fine. So it looks like it's more towards the bottom. Oh, actually, maybe that did make a difference. It's already free moving. Wow, there's no way. I guess now if I get it sanded down a little better, then I can throw it in there with some grease, of course. I'm gonna try to clean out that inside as well, but I definitely need more brake clean. You know, I just want it to be known that I knew that was gonna happen. I did know that was gonna happen. And when I was swinging it, I was like, it'll be fine. Nope. And then this side is even more froze up. So I guess we really just need one of these parts for this side and a lever. I don't think that's really much cheaper than buying that whole pin. Well, this side, even this side's bent. Probably bend that back though. smoking. That's our spring on there. And then our collage of washers here. And our very bent pin. It's raining outside now. I think we're just gonna throw all this stuff away on this side. If you plan on taking off your Bob-tach inside, put a paper towel over that. It'll push it off, but if you don't, you'll get a bunch of grease everywhere. There's a lot of tension in there when you're beating in those pins, so just cover that. Well, no reason that one. So that worked out pretty good. The pin goes smoothly through both of those. This one was the one that was seized up real bad. That pin, again, this is pretty much totaled. I could do some stuff to reuse it, but I mean, that's so warped down. I'd rather, you know, cut my losses on the time at least and just get a new one in that kit. I don't know if we're gonna worry about those for now, but I think we're gonna leave this Bob-tach for now at least. We're gonna get the rest of the Bobcat, you know, functioning again, and we're not gonna do the while you're in there because I do have it off. Yeah, I could do a lot more to it, and it needs a lot more work, bushings, pins, and everything like that. Again, I think we're just gonna stop, get it functional for now, and then come back later. Actually, I've got to throw some grease zerks in here. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't think I got one big enough for that. So I'm gonna have to probably get more grease zerks. But I got these small ones that I can put in here. Those threads might need to be chased. We'll see. Oh, cool. Wasn't even pointed.
Well, I got it.
I got my shipment from Bobcat. I got my dipstick, the air cleaner ejector, and this throttle friction. I also got the Bob-tach parts. Here's the new lever. I went ahead and bent the other lever more so that I could actually get it to clear. It was not clearing the small amount that I got it bent the first time, so that should be good now. It looks pretty mangled, but it's gonna work a whole lot better than it was, so that's what matters. Gonna use this nut as a kind of a bigger guide for now instead of just having all this slop in here, because I didn't buy that weld-on bushing or that weld-on piece like the other side has, so we're just gonna use this for now. Just eats up a little bit of that slop. It's no big deal either way. Okay, let's do that. Except the nut moves on there now. It's not perfect, but I put some washers under that so that the spring has more tension on there. Need like a nylon nut because it's moving. I feel like that should have a bigger spring. The other side has like no play. I mean, you'd think the side that has the nut on there would have the most play, but I think that nut's actually helping it a lot. Because that's got like no play. That's solid. That nut is actually just pushed against a lever, and the nut is what's moving on there. It's not even moving around. That's actually a really good solution, I think. And that ends up being the one that's super wallered out. It's weird. If I could get this lever off there a little bit, make it feel better. You can't see it from here, but this weld-on pin over here for this lever was cracked in the weld down there because I had to hit it back with a hammer to get it straight. So I went ahead and I welded that back in, ground that down, and then I put a washer, a big washer over that. And this one has no slop either, as just like this side does. One thing about this side though, for some reason their spring is giant, so it's too tight if you thread that nylon nut over the top of that to where that nylon nut actually is useful. So over time, it's gonna back itself off a little bit because that nylon nut is spinning on top of that thread. So I might need to cut that spring or do something with that. I'm pretty sure there's no hydraulic fluid in the Bobcat. Because when the axle seal leaked, I went on the floor. So I'm like 90% sure that we're good. Oh yeah. Alright. I've got nothing to catch that with. Well, if it didn't have any in it before, now it definitely doesn't. I don't even think I have enough room. Oh, never mind. really don't look good. You know, I think because this thing is so shiny that it makes it look like it's bent. But I don't think it actually is, because I just cleaned it off real good. And it doesn't really look bent anymore. When I first stood it up, it looked bent. Like, yeah, I think it's just because of the reflection. I don't know, could be bent. Would not be surprised. Yeah, it's pretty marred and smashed up in here. It's probably gonna make that not seal well. This thing is really beat up. This area up here at the top of the wiper seal is really damaged. A lot of these parts were bent in right there. So I don't know if this new one's it's gonna seal very well. I guess we'll see how long it lasts, because a new one of these gland nuts is like $300 almost from Bobcat. So we're just gonna go with it though, see if it holds. I'd say that's definitely not good. It'll go behind that seal because of how ate up it is on that outer ring. So this probably does need to be replaced, but doesn't seem like that's gonna happen, you know. I can almost guarantee that's not 600 foot-pounds. That's it. It's back on. Hopefully that lasts a while. Hopefully that doesn't start to tear itself up. I guess we'll see. I had a huge spill of hydraulic fluid. I think it's literally all the hydraulic fluid that was in the Bobcat was on the floor when I came in here this morning. And I had the Bobcat tilted up so that the water would drain out of here that I cleaned out in the inside of the frame, just so it wouldn't puddle or anything. And back in here, it all leaked out of that axle seal. I'm assuming it's the axle seal. I mean, I guess it could be worse, but I'm pretty sure it's just that seal in there. But all of that, just because it was tilted up a little bit. Now, I don't know why it being tilted affected that yet, but that's one thing to add to the list. Wow, that was loud. Oh. I think I need a bigger breaker bar. Oh, maybe another time. Under it on the right side, and I just kept jacking it up that way. And I think that's probably what got, you know, most of it to be free. I beat on it with a hammer too. That's really risky, but I think that's what freed it up. And then I hung on it and I got it to click once. But now we need some bottle jacks. Man, that's so tight on there. So I got this nut backed off a little bit, just enough to pop the tension off of this, but still in there so that this doesn't come flying off. There we go. It's just that position I needed. Come right off now. There'll be no pressure on it. Whew. All right, so we got kind of a little nick in the axle. So we're gonna put a speedy sleeve in here, and then we're gonna put our new axle seal over that. And we're gonna drive it in there. I'm kind of sitting the punch on this outer ring here that's not going to go anywhere, so that when I hit it in, it bottoms out on that and just pushes that seal in as far as that ring is. And our lip is over our speedy sleeve everywhere, so we're in far enough now. We're just over that. So I didn't really record that much of putting the seat in here and finishing that bottom plate in there, along with putting everything back together, because I had a mishap during working on the seat. I had my GoPro back here, as you'll see in the last shot on the GoPro, and it was laying in there, and I had opened the cab like 2 times before, and the GoPro just moved back, and I was like, man, you know, that cab could roll up there and crush the GoPro, and sure enough, it did. Total loss, screen doesn't work, anything like that. I only paid like $100 for this GoPro, so it doesn't really matter. I finally got a new camera though. I put it off for a little bit, but I finished that seat in the same day, and this arm bar here. I brought the Bobcat home like the next day, and then I had to use it for something, so I had to kind of just throw it back together. That's why I didn't wait. I got the new friction ring in here on the throttle. It works perfect. Again, the new seat. The bracket for the seat wasn't great. When I get this outside, I'll lift up the cab and I'll show. I threw some paint on all this stuff. I mean, it's already rusty, so it's just probably gonna rust back through that paint. I ground it down best I could around some of those areas like that, but like that's just completely rotted through. I don't really care about that. It's good enough. It looks a lot better than it did. I painted this plate here too. I need to put something over that hole so that it keeps dirt and stuff out of the frame. I accidentally broke that the rest of the way off. It was cracked, but I'm gonna have to order a new one of those. This lap bar is probably the biggest improvement, the thing that I like the most. It's super convenient not having to chain that up there. Although it doesn't push it up as far as I would like it to, it's still great. Now my favorite part is that the seat hides most of the welds and you can't really see it. I've never welded before, and that was kind of a nightmare. I think it was the position that I was in because I was in here. Definitely not gonna show those up close, that's for sure. I ground these down a ton, but I mean, these are just boogers everywhere.
I just tacked that one a little bit back there. Didn't grind it down too much because you're not going to be able to see it. But I just needed some structural rigidity back in this thing, and it's a lot better than it was. This thing hasn't seen a seat in years. Like, it's been a ridiculously long time. So you can see here, the exhaust is completely rotted off at the top. Rather than me trying to get some pipe welded on there really poorly, I just got a replacement, a aftermarket one. It was fairly cheap, but mainly I was concerned about water getting in there. I guess we'll see if it makes a sound difference too. Obviously this one's pretty far gone anyway. I gotta get those exhaust manifold bolts all the way up. That's as high as I can get the cab, so I think I'm gonna have to get some extensions. You're creative. Huh. Yeah, I didn't think this through. I think that just snapped. Well, I gotta break this. Yeah. Snapped all of them off. Which is fine. I mean, it's just doesn't really make a difference. It's what perfection looks like. All four snapped right off. The manifold had threads in it last time, but I had to drill them out because I couldn't get them out. So I just grinded off half the head on the nut, and it slides right in perfectly. This is not the greatest fit, but I got that hole. All these holes are pretty crooked. Oop, that's a ceiling. Seatbelt looks good. So I ran into another issue. I went to start the Bobcat the other day. Nothing. It's dead. I checked the battery. I had like 11 volts out of the battery.
So I jumped it, and then I checked the voltage again. Still like 11 volts. Battery's not being charged. I came over here to the alternator. I pulled off this cover, and this is the belt that the alternator is driven by. It's extremely loose. So I'm gonna go ahead. I already ordered new belts a while ago for these, so I knew they were super old. That one doesn't even have any teeth left. I think this is the one that goes there. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw that new belt on here and get this tightened up and see if that takes care of the issue. All right, so I got the new belt and the old belt. The old belt literally has no teeth left. I can peel them away. I don't think there's a date stamped on this belt, but I got the new one that I'm gonna throw in. So this is tensioned by the alternator. I had to loosen a bolt under the cab, and then I had to crack that one loose because I think it was just holding it in there because it's been on there so long. I moved the alternator back and then slipped it off there. I'm not sure how tight this is supposed to be. It was super loose to begin with. You can see I really don't have much clearance at all under this cab because there was like originally a 2-foot clearance above there. So I had to get all the way back in there and loosen that bolt back there. If you're not a small guy, not gonna work that way. If I had some taller ceilings, that'd be great. I could do a lot more to this Bobcat inside. So after I got that belt on there and I tightened it up, the water pump had enough and started spewing everywhere. I thought I'd seen it leak before, and this definitely just confirms that it was going everywhere. It was also wobbling really hard right at the end of that pulley. So that makes an alternator and a water pump that we need, because the belt did in fact not fix that. I crawled under the cab there and I tested directly from the alternator, and we have no current coming out of the alternator other than what we're getting from the battery, which that's the original alternator. So that's almost I'd say that it probably is a 30-year-old alternator on there. So let's do. So the pulley in here, so the pulley on the water pump, I don't know how much you can tell, but it's you can definitely tell it's wiggling really hard. That was honestly pretty easy to remove through here. So a lot of people saying that there wasn't very much space, which there's not, but I think that's easier than pulling it through the cab side. I only had to get in the cab to break this bolt loose and then break this bolt and then put a wrench on this. Actually, I put a wrench on it through the side of the cab. I also don't have my cab up very high. I'm trying to avoid getting under there as much as I can, because you can see you can barely get under there. It sucks. But I reached my arm through there and I put a wrench on the other side of that bolt, and then I pulled it through once I got it broken free. There's a metal bracket in there that holds out like that, so you do have to remove this bolt fully. There's the pulley, that bolt, and then the actual tensioner bolt. So only 2 bolts holding that in. It's really not bad. Definitely heavy. All right, we got the alternator put back in. Now I'm gonna move to the leaky water pump. Oh my God. It's like, I don't even really freak out in these situations. I mean, It's annoying, but like the hydraulic fluid, it's like I know it's over. I know I lost. The second it starts, I know I don't have anything to catch it on hand. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. A lot of rust on the impeller as well, or buildup. I mean, no doubt this is made heavier. You know, this is probably the original one. I almost guarantee that. And it'll probably last twice as long as this new one will. This is actually an OEM Bobcat one, so $250, which is ridiculous. But the other option was like an aftermarket one for $30. So I know $250 for a part on a Bobcat this old is crazy, but it's also a pretty important part. So I took the thermostat housing off, and I snapped this bolt on the left, of course. Now looking at this, that is the last place that you want to snap a bolt. I got really lucky. I didn't snap it at the bottom. I snapped it in the middle, so I had enough threads to actually get the vice grips on, tighten them down, and actually take it all the way off. These vice grips, they're these Milwaukee vice grips, or any brand that has the adjustable tightener down here that you can stick a socket over. That is by far the best way to get a strip bolt, or you can get such a tight grab on those vice grips. Those are amazing. But I got that out. I got to go buy a bolt tomorrow, and I'm gonna throw this water pump back on. You can see where the impeller was spinning around in there, and it scored this really, really bad. There's some really deep grooves in there. I don't think that's gonna affect anything. I mean, it's been running like that for I don't know how long, but it's just, that was really, really bad. Oh, these don't look all that much alike, but so far the Bobcat parts website hasn't let me down on the compatibility, so I'm just gonna throw it in there. I don't have anywhere to put this. Oh my god, I have nowhere to put this. I didn't think much was gonna come out. Oh, there goes. That's full. Oh yeah, no mess at all. Flawless. Filter was changed in 21. It's really not seen much use since then. I think we got it running and then changed all the oil in the filter, and then it just sat. If you drop something in a place you can't see, the best way that I've found to get them out is to turn your camera on your phone, put the flash on, sit it there, move it around, and then feel around, or you should be able to see your hand or something, and you should be able to get it. It works really well for me. I'm able to find like pretty much everything. If you guys are trying to adjust your steering, I would recommend watching How I Did It. His video on this is really great. He has a lot of great videos on working on Bobcats and everything like that, specifically Bobcat. But it's pretty janky, but it's gonna work. So I'm gonna get these centered, and then I'm gonna adjust those blocks back on there so that I have no drift. And again, I'll link that video if I remember, which I probably won't, but his channel is How I Did It, and it's somewhat of a recent video, so give that a watch if you guys are trying to do this. So I finally got them adjusted kind of how I want them. It's good enough for having to crawl under here every time. I also just adjusted the brake real quick. It wasn't stopping at all before. All you do to adjust the brake in this here Bobcat is you just tighten the nut that's on this rod that leads to the brake lever. There's that nut. Just tighten it, loosen it, and I applied it, and it's preventing it from moving a little bit. Now the Bobcat is shutting itself off if I go past idle, and in some cases it's shutting off at idle too. I don't know why it's doing that. It just started happening consistently. It's shut itself off a couple times, but the boss unit doesn't display the code, so I'm really not sure. I'm so happy with this. It's not moving at all, and the parking brake's not even set. It would have already been like halfway through a 360 right now with the old adjustment. This is night and day, and I haven't even moved it. This is awesome. I welded in that seat. I came back, and right when I got it home, I went to start it, and it would just crank and crank and crank. Turn off, turn it back on, fire right up. I felt like sometimes I wasn't hearing the fuel solenoid click on, so I'm pretty sure it's just a bad fuel solenoid. When my dad said it caught on fire, I think he said the fuel solenoid is what caught on fire, and he threw a $20 one, a really cheap fuel solenoid in here, so that wouldn't shock me if that went bad. So I've tried a lot of different stuff since that last clip. It's definitely not the fuel solenoid. It will not run unless that is pushed open. I mean, it'll start for a second, but it shuts itself right off. Occasionally you can get it to run for a minute or two, but anytime there's a sudden movement, like slamming the door shut, dropping the boom down hard, which is the first time I noticed it. I don't know if I still have that clip. But I dropped the boom down and it shut off. It's actually the Boss system right here. Now, I've grown to hate the Boss system in this because this is like all of the problems I'm having that I can't figure out how to fix are because of this, I'm pretty sure. And there's not a super good way to get around it. So anytime you, like when the Bobcat's running, if you hit right here, it'll just shut off. So I think there's a loose ground or some loose connection in here that when you hit anywhere near it, or when it takes any jolt and wiggles something loose, it shuts off. So to get this fixed by like ISOCELL or something like that is $1,000. It's something crazy like that. I'm gonna take it to my cousin and see if he can take it apart and do anything. And then we'll kind of go from there. I am beyond happy to have a garage though, that I can actually open the cab in. As you guys have seen in one of the clips in this video, I had to take the wheels off, lower the Bobcat, and then snake into there to adjust the steering linkages so I could actually, you know, work on this thing. So beyond happy with the upgrade that I've got. Did a lot to it, and I mean, it still needs a ton more work, just being that it is so old. I tried to fix the aux hydraulics, and I got one of the functions to open the bucket, but I gotta mess with that still. I got a leak on this. I mean, there's you know, there's just a lot to do to this thing because it's so old. Yeah, like I said, the main thing though is that Boss unit. I need to get that taken off, and because you can't start it with the key and turn it off with the key, you've got to push that open and just let it run like that. So, but I did get a lot of use out of it since I've moved. You can tell it's super, super dirty. The previous video that I have, you know, shows me putting this thing to work. So, I mean, it's held up to everything I've thrown at it. But until then, I think that's gonna wrap this one up. I mean, there's over an hour of footage here of me working on this. There's still plenty to do on this. I'll eventually have another video. I mean, this one has been in the works for a long, long time. I've just kind of been working on this thing when I can now. In the last video that I posted, there's, you know, a lot of footage of me using this Bobcat, so it's held up. If you want to go watch that and see, and maybe I'll put some clips here at the end of it, just putting it to work. But yeah, this thing's been great.